We're looking at understanding grace. And yesterday we saw that there is a difference between grace and mercy. Grace is God's ability at work within you. Mercy is God's compassion, kindness, and this deep emotion from within Him to treat us with kindness and compassion and pity and love. And that is what mercy is. And the Bible says that we can approach the throne room of grace to obtain mercy. So we can see there is a big difference between these two words. I can call on the mercy of God for Him to treat me better than I deserve, but grace is the ability of God within me to live above sin, to allow God's ability to work in and through me and in through my heart. I'm going to read Romans 6 verse 14 out of the Amplified. It says, "For sin shall not any longer exert dominion over you, since now you are not under law as slaves, but under grace as subjects of God's favor and mercy." In 1 Corinthians 15:10, Paul says this, "But by the grace of God I am what I am, and His grace toward me was not found for nothing. In fact, I worked harder than all of them, the apostles, though it was not really I, but the grace of God which was with me." So you can see here that grace is the ability of God to do something. He's saying here that it is the ability to live above sin, that sin will not have dominion over me because I'm under grace. So grace is the ability of God helping me to live in a way that naturally I cannot do it. And then he goes on and he says that the grace of God caused him to work harder than all of the apostles. Many people will say, yes, I'm under grace, I don't have to do anything. But Paul was saying here, because he was under grace, he worked harder. He had the ability of God at work within him, and he worked harder than his peers. Why? Because he was connected to the ability of God. It didn't make him lazy. It actually made him work harder because he was connected to God's ability and not his own ability. So it's important for us to understand the difference between grace and mercy, and for me to recognize that grace is God divinely influencing me, where I can work hard and I can live above sin because I've tapped into the very grace of God. Always remember, friends, you are highly favored and deeply loved of God.